So today we have the Seesaw Strategy Guide. If you want to see me play Fall Guys live on Twitch, I stream it every day and I'd love to see you there. The starting position for this level is very useful indeed. Now you want to be on the front row and in the middle of the row optimally. Now I think it's better to be on the middle of the row, even if you are a few lines back, rather than be on the first row but really far out to the side, because you want to get to the middle of the first platform. So it's very useful. You want to try and be front row middle if you can, and that'll allow you to win this game with ease, hopefully. So the randomness of this level, I'd say, is about a medium. If you're with the mob and you're not ahead of the curve, then you're really at the behest of how the seesaws are acting and how many people are on it, and so it's a bit of a difficult one. It's one way or the other, and you're going to struggle sometimes. The technicality of the level is medium. You've got to understand how the seesaws work, any special properties of some of the seesaws, which we'll go over, and also be good at diving on the seesaws and off of the seesaws as well. So now we're on to the strategy section, and first of all, ahead of the crowd is the best place to be. Getting ahead of the crowd in Seesaw is the surest way to win, unfortunately. Getting a good starting position and clearing the first two sets of seesaws is key. So the better your starting position, the easier this will be. And unfortunately, this is the best way to win this level, but every particular strategy we're going to talk after this is going to be assuming that you're not ahead of the crowd, because then it's incredibly easy. So now we have the first two sets of seesaws. The first and the second set of seesaws have a special gripping property for some reason. You can't actually slide off them by the tilt angle alone, so no matter how steep the tilt angle gets, if you're on it already, you can just walk up the side of it until you're high enough to jump off it. Now the only way that you can fall off the first and second set of seesaws is if you fall over, and the only ways to really fall over on the first and second set is by jumping and landing on somebody so you fall over, or that you're on it and someone jumps and lands on you. So the basic premise for these two seesaws, even if you're in the massive crowd, is to jump and then quickly move across the seesaw rather than trying to go up, to make sure no one jumps on you. Next up, we've got anticipation. This is a good overall rule. So you want to try and keep an eye on what the seesaws in front of you are doing and what they're going to do. You want to keep an eye on how many people are on your side and how many people are on the opposite side of the seesaw. That'll help you anticipate and predict how the seesaws are going to tilt, and so you have to think about whether you can jump on it in a minute or whether you should really try and get on it now because you know it's going to tilt out of your favor momentarily. This can sometimes be the difference between escaping and getting ahead of the crowd and being stuck with the crowd. So the next strategy is the jump dive. The jump dive is such a useful tool in Seesaw. You want to use it to get high on platforms, and you want to use it to get off very angled platforms. Good use of this will separate you from the crowd. Here's an example of getting onto a high platform. And here's an example of getting off a very angled platform. So next up, we've got the platform middles. It is always useful when you land on a new platform to run straight to the middle line. The middle line gives you the most stability, and from there you can then run off one end or the other no matter how it tilts. The exception to this is if your end is really raised high by loads of players that are going to go on the other end, and you can predict that, then you can just stay on your end, but most of the time it's worth just running straight from the middle of a new platform. And to follow on from that, tilt it yourself. So you should always run for the middle for the stability and run to the opposite side to tilt it. If you can't access the next seesaw for whatever reason, you want to start to run back and forth on your own platform to tilt it back and then try and get off, and if you can't, run back, tilt it again, and then try and get off. Don't try and stay on your side to tilt it forever, because this is actually a team game and you don't want to let everyone else off, so just keep running back and forth to try and get off it, and if you can't, tilt it back yourself and then try and get off it again, and just keep going until you manage it. So now we're on to the tips and tricks section, and the first tip is delayed diving. This is useful in so many games, and in Seesaw it's no different. Delayed diving will help prevent you from falling over when you land on a seesaw. This could be the difference between staying on the seesaw and actually sliding off. So to delayed dive, you jump off a platform and then you dive just before you reach the seesaw. This will prevent you from falling over from a great height, and also give you some stability while you're on the platform. So tip number 2, jumping to the opposite side. So if you see a seesaw that is really highly angled and you think you're going to fall off, if you can, jump onto the opposite side of the platform. So past the halfway marker. This means that when you land on that opposite side, you are actually pushing the seesaw down, making it more stable. This is sometimes possible if you're already on a really highly angled platform. So tip number 3 is running, jumping and diving. Each of these makes a larger impact on a seesaw, and it causes you a more chance to fall over. So you want to consider how you land on a seesaw to prevent this. Or maybe you want to encourage it. If you're jumping onto the opposite side, like the previous tip, you might consider diving onto it rather than just walking onto it, or landing on it heavily so that it tilts it down in a stronger fashion. Tip number 4 is jumping over the barriers. If you need to, you can jump dive over the barriers on the side of the checkpoints. You do have to be aware though that their hitbox is slightly higher than their height, so you want to make sure that you're going over it a little bit higher than it looks like. And so to follow on from this, we've got tip number 5, the swag strategies at checkpoints. So you can actually walk along the barriers, the railings on the sides of checkpoints. This allows you to get a greater range of jump. So you can jump to the middle of the next platform, or you can jump to the opposite side. It really allows you to have high strats on where you want to jump on the next seesaw. However, it's a little bit more risky because if you don't land on the barrier and you fall off, sometimes you don't get the checkpoint. This is especially true on the 3rd checkpoint. To get the 3rd checkpoint, you have to actually land on the platform where the checkpoint should be. You don't get the checkpoint if you're standing on the barrier. And the final tip, tip number 6, is purposeful respawns. After you hit a checkpoint, you can fall off a ledge and you will respawn. Now, this will respawn you on a random lane, but further ahead. This is especially true, it seems, at the end of the 2nd set of seesaw, so the 2nd checkpoint. If you get the checkpoint and fall off, really useful with the previous tip where you're on the barrier. You get on the barrier, get the checkpoint, fall off the barrier, and you'll teleport forward and you'll be ahead of the crowd there, which is really, really useful. So that is it for the strategy and tips and tricks for Seesaw. A tough game, a bit up in the way, obviously. It really all comes down to the 1st and 2nd sets where you can try and get ahead of the crowd there. If you want to see me play this game live on Twitch, I stream it every day. And in the meantime, thanks for watching everybody, take care, and I'll see you again very soon. I hope they take out hoarders, or something, I don't know. They'll probably keep it in because they wouldn't remove games. But it came in with the release of the game, and it's not very good. Okay, we're in the middle. We weren't at the front, but we're in the middle, so we've got a decent chance of, as long as we don't fall over, we can get ahead of the crowd. Okay, we fell off. We respawned ahead of the crowd there, which is actually really good, but we're on a dangerous side. We'll fall off and respawn at the head of the crowd. Perfect! Amazing! Actually works. Actually good. So this is like a key one. Make sure you get it before they do, otherwise it's going to go up and you won't be able to get on it. And again, this orange bean here, this is going to be the same thing. That purple one up there is going to be a key one. If he gets on it first, it's going to raise up. If I get on it first, it'll raise up. There you go. See, I stopped him there. Not that I wanted to, but that could happen to you if you're not aware of when they're getting on it. That was a good game. We got some nice respawns there, yeah. I think doing the swag strats allows you to get the checkpoint and fall off. But however, it's important to note that on the 3rd piece, so on, where's a good place? Yeah, on this piece, doing the swag strat here doesn't get you the checkpoint most of the time. Like, I think it's pretty consistently doesn't get you the checkpoint unless you fall down onto the actual thing for some reason. So I don't think it's even worth doing it there anyway, so beware. I'm going to try the strat again, and I think it's on the 2nd one that it's worth doing. So I won't do it on the 1st one, but on the 2nd one I think it's worth getting onto it and then jumping off. Honestly. It's especially useful if you get swag strats. We're close to the middle. The middle's probably more important than being on the front. Just hope we don't fall over, really. Right, yeah, this is it. This is the good stuff. So we'll do that. Swag strats. And then I'm going to go onto yellow. It's going to lift up. We're going to get the swag strats and then fall off. Wait to hear the jingle. Respawn pretty much ahead of that guy. He was ahead of me anyway, so I think we gained a little bit of room. Might have been able to optimize that a bit. We've got to jump on there quickly before anyone else on that team does, otherwise that particular one. There's always some really important ones. Like, the purple one at the end is the one that's really important. Like, if someone goes the opposite direction... Oh, God. Okay, no one's actually going in the opposite direction, but if they did, it would raise up like this, so he can't get it. You see? It's really important one, that is. It's like a key... It's like a key seesaw. And there's several of those where if you're running like this, there's one over here and one over there, you're running up. If you jump on it first, it's going to lean this so this guy can't get on it, and vice versa. If he jumps on it first and you're a bit behind him, it's going to lean the seesaw so you can't get on it, and it's going to be like horrible. So it's some pretty significant seesaws. You've got to really watch out for that.